As Ukraine resists a Russian invasion, protests supporting Ukraine take place all over the world. Now some liquor stores and bars across the U.S. are throwing out their stock of Russian vodka as an act of support for Ukraine.
Russia is acting as though it's 1939 and going into Europe with the full force that they have into Ukraine. I'm so concerned about it metastasizing into other countries.
Guys, does this mean, Sean, I'll come to you first. This is amazing. I enjoy seeing this type of support. It's what our country does. But does this mean that Americans don't feel like the government has done enough, so this is their way of contributing to it?
Well, listen, I think they want to voice their opinion and their outrage, so they're going to dump their vodka on the street. But this is just hurting the Russian people, but it's not hurting Putin. And there's a difference there. It's kind of like when we were angry at the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau at how he treated his authoritarian ways with the Freedom Convoy. If we in America dumped out our maple syrup, that doesn't hurt Trudeau. It only hurts, the maple syrup of Canada. So I think we got to be smart about how we handle these kind of protests.
Katie, the irony is not lost on me that private citizens in the United States of America are willing to dump out vodka, but the U.S. government is still buying oil and gas from Russia. And what kind of message does that send?
It's pretty terrible, but I have to say I do like people doing what they can here to send a message, because Russia likes a propaganda war, and for citizens here to say they're not putting up with this is a good thing. And let's not forget that there are older generations and students of history that understand the Cold War was actually not that long ago when it comes to history in the United States and history of the world, and they have no interest in repeating it, and that this moment does matter in terms of deterring communism and Vladimir Putin from really trying to take over additional countries, not in addition to Ukraine. But it's not just the pouring out vodka that's happening. You have Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia ordering his government to review contracts to make sure that no tax dollars in the Commonwealth are going to Russian companies. You also have Elon Musk, who just announced that the Starlink service that he provides is up and running in Ukraine to make sure that Ukraine still has communications should the Russians try to take down those modes of communication for the Ukrainian civilians to fight back. So the dumping out of the vodka and the rejection of Moscow mules may just be a gesture, but there are a number of other things happening outside of the federal government, the Biden administration's response, and the Europeans that could be helpful in sending an even greater message to Vladimir Putin and the people of Russia.
Aisha, we get to protest here in this country and exercise our First Amendment free of charge. It doesn't cost us anything. There's no risk. But you look at a Russian soccer player that wrote "Please no war" on a camera. You look at protests that are happening in big cities, in Moscow and St. Petersburg, in Russia. The Russian people are saying this is not what we want. We also have protests happening in cities all over Europe. Go outside the U.S. What is the world saying, and will this have any effect on Vladimir Putin?
Look, I think we're living in a different world, Joey, right? I mean, it's so easy to feel so far away from what's happening and feel like you can't do anything about it. But now we're living in the world of social media where we're able to connect with people like that woman we saw who was crying underground holding a baby, or President Zelensky. I think a lot of people are identifying with this man that refuses to leave his people behind. I think one of the worst tragedies of Afghanistan for the Afghan people was when Ghani left. It was horrifying to watch that. So I think watching these people fight for their lives and stand still and stand strong, I think Americans identify with that, and they're trying to do the best they can to help in any way that they can. And you'll see more of it.
Well, I don't drink, so I don't have any vodka to pour out, but I appreciate the gesture.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.